Good morning, everybody. It is a Friday, 9 a.m., and it is sunny here in the Charlotte area. Hope you're enjoying your Friday. Back to school, back to work, into the weekend. We will forge ahead in some weekend events to look forward to, of course. One is the Olympic ceremony, the official opening of the Olympics, which you can see here on WCNC Charlotte. A picture there of Milan as they're getting ready for the opening ceremony. We'll bring that to you here tonight on WCNC Charlotte at 2 o'clock. And then, of course, on Sunday, it is the Super Bowl. Looking at Santa Clara, we have the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. We could see their logos up ahead with their mascots. So good luck to them. Play my snacks for the weekend. That's the important thing for us. And Majestic Storm is now here in the Live Impact studio. Had some wet snow on the ground yesterday. Falling, very pretty. Drove through it, but it wasn't a problem because it was wet.
And it wasn't a whole lot, right? Just kind of that snow flurries. Yesterday afternoon when I was on midday, it was interesting because we had this really random band of snow that really made for some impacts, especially north of Charlotte. When it hit our area, I was just like, oh, it's snowing again. But for areas north of us, like in Statesville, Troutman, Hickory, you guys are so good at sending in viewer pictures, viewer videos. And I was pretty impressed with snow totals. Some areas receiving over an inch of snow. Now this morning, the big story is we do have some slick and icy spots out there. Some frost, pockets of black ice. We have all that moisture that could be left over from yesterday that didn't evaporate. And then once you stepped outside this morning, you may have noticed that it's really cold compared to yesterday. So do be mindful of that. We're still struggling with those temperatures, but we do want to get you ready for your weekend weather forecast. Really, it's a tale of two different forecasts. We have the Charlotte metro area, surrounding areas, and then we have a forecast up in the mountains. Now, typically, they're never the same, but this is a big dramatic difference. So we are weather impact alert starting tonight through Saturday, only for the mountains, though. So if you were thinking you're grabbing the family, you're heading up to the mountains this weekend, you got to get going sooner rather than later because we're looking at very strong winds this weekend up in the mountains. Also, some accumulating snowfall. So drifting and blowing snow, that is going to be an issue up in the high country, really limiting down visibility. But with that wind on top of that cold air in the mountains, maybe you're thinking you're going skiing or snowboarding this weekend. At times, it's not out of the question that it'll feel anywhere from 15 to 20 below zero. So for the high country, for Mountain County specifically, we will be weather impact alert. If you're watching from the Charlotte area, we're not weather impact alert. Again, the biggest concerns, our greatest threats this week, and for that, for all counties shaded in this red, it's going to be snow in the mountains, high winds, dangerously cold wind chills, where if you don't have to be outside, I mean, you don't really want to be. Unfortunately, I know if you live in the mountains, you look forward to that fresh powder, and you'll get that. But with the wind, I mean, at times feeling like you're 20 below, that is a perfect setup for frostbite or hypothermia if you're not paying close attention to that. And could we have power outages? That's going to be possible because we're going to have those very strong winds. In Charlotte today, this is what you can plan for. Finally, the return of some sunshine. I just took a peek outside, starting to see that really nice sunshine break through a little bit of that morning fog. This morning, the fog was a big part of our forecast, not because it just reduced down visibility, but also because we were concerned that we could see something called freezing fog. And sometimes people get confused thinking, what in the world is freezing fog? And it's basically when you have fog and below freezing temperatures, fog just actually freezes onto surfaces. So it could be a little deceiving, and it's actually very slick and icy. Unfortunately, this morning I was covering traffic on WCNC, and on the off-ramp of I-485 at Oakdale Road, there was a fatal crash. We still don't know exactly what caused it, but could there have been a slick and icy spot? Perhaps, especially on those on and off roads, on and off ramps, and especially over bridges. So continue to keep that in mind today. Now back in the mountains, this is your forecast as we are heading into the afternoon. This is localized for our friends out in Boone. So a snowy afternoon ahead. I think the snow will have already started by the time I'm back on WCNC for our midday show covering your weather forecast. So by noon, 1 o'clock, that snow will start to come down. But notice those bands of snow will actually increase, which means we'll have plenty of time for the snow to fall in the mountains, several hours. And when we're looking at snow accumulations, I mean, we need that time for that snow to pile up. So with how much time we're going to have, we could see several inches of snow falling. 2 to 4 inches of snow, not out of the question. Winter weather advisories going into place this afternoon. They'll be in effect until Saturday morning. So yes, that includes areas like Boone and Blowing Rock. I mean, Ashwaubenon, Avery counties, you will really be our watch spot this weekend because you have the winter weather advisories. Remember, that's bringing in snow, difficult travel, kind of fun snow you would think to play out, and especially if you have any kids. But remember, It's going to be the wind that's going to make this, quite honestly, kind of unbearable. Some of those winds will be capable of gusting over 50 miles an hour. I mean, 60 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts. That's why the National Weather Service has issued high wind warnings for counties shaded in pink. And that's a little higher than a wind advisory. Wind advisory definitely is something that we pay attention to, but a high wind warning is really taking it to the next level. So if you have any plans to travel this afternoon or for your Saturday and you're in the mountains, I mean, this is a very serious forecast that you don't want to take lightly. Dangerous travel, those strong gusty winds, and several inches of accumulating snow. Now here's our futurecast, 2 o'clock this afternoon. Remember that blue is indicating the snow. Remember in Charlotte, it's a totally different forecast. We have sunny skies, 50-degree temperatures today. By 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that snow is still coming down in the mountains. So again, that's a big part of the story, is how much time we will have for that snow to accumulate. Snow up in higher elevations, and then starting to see some green just below it. That's just north of I-40. That's where temperatures will be a little bit warmer for us, so it's not going to be snow right away. It is going to be rain. And then as we're heading through 8 o'clock tonight, I think by that point most of the heavier snow starts to let up, but I don't think it's completely out of there yet. Again, clear and mild as we're heading into later evening hours here in Charlotte, so if you have any plans for your Friday night, just keep a layer handy. You'll want that jacket. Let's get you into Saturday morning though. Looking at that 7 o'clock time frame, I'm really excited for Saturday because it is going to be a really pretty day. Starting out in the morning, clear skies, one of those days where the sunrise is just gorgeous. If you like to drink your coffee and wake up to the sun, it's going to be absolutely stunning. Now, will it be cold for that morning walk? I think it absolutely will. Temperatures below freezing, so still again, watch for those slick and icy spots. We got to remind you of that. And then Saturday afternoon, we should see those temperatures continue to rise back into the 40s, low 50s. 6 o'clock for our Saturday, again dropping down into the 30s. On Sunday, we have Super Bowl Sunday, waking up to a little bit more cloud coverage. Overall, pretty quiet day. Not seeing any big problems with it. And then that's kind of going to be our weekend, what we're watching for. As far as the mountains go, remember you have a weather impact alert weekend because of the snow, the bitter cold, but really the winds, you guys. If you have anything outside that might blow away or get damaged, with winds this strong, you need to make sure it's all tucked away and secure because things could be flying away, but I think the dangerous wind chill is going to be huge, and then the low visibility, almost blizzard-like conditions, because at the same time, you'll either have snow falling or you're going to have snow on the ground. It's going to make it feel very cold. So here's 7 o'clock for your Saturday morning. Feeling like around 10 below there in Boone. I think we could see some wind chills drop down to 15 below. Heading into Saturday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon here in Charlotte, only feeling like it's 27 degrees. So overall a sunny but cold day. So wind chills are a huge part of the weather story. Quick peek, I wanted to show you the next 5 days, localizing this for our mountains because that's really going to be the true focus in the forecast this weekend. Weather impact alert starting tonight, heading throughout the day on Saturday. It will be that wet snow at first, but as temperatures continue to get cooler, then it will become a little bit more light and fluffy. Overall, bottom line, slick, icy road conditions, 2 to 4 inches of snow, not out of the question. Would not be surprised to see more than that. 18 degrees overnight tonight, so if you have any plans, make sure you're ready. Also, make sure all of your animals are prepared for this cold and these very winter-like conditions. Saturday, extremely windy up in the mountains, should be quieter by Sunday. Here's our Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day forecast for the Charlotte metro area. Notice that we do not have weather impact alert there because the focus is up in the mountains. For us, finally, we kind of get a break. 52 degrees for our high temperature. Our typical high for this time of the year, it's 55. So we're a little bit below it, but we're not complaining because it's been cold this week. 34 for our overnight low, so staying just above that freezing mark. Stunning for tomorrow. And then Super Bowl Sunday, 43 for our high. Should be fine to get outside, do whatever you need to do before the big game starts on Sunday evening. Heading into next week, the big story. If you just need something to look forward to, Jane, it is going to be beautiful next week and much warmer.
Finally,
I mean, it was
majestic.
10 degrees early this week, early
Yes.
in the morning, and now we have a high on our 7-day forecast of 67 degrees on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, do you? I was going to ask because you are a lover of the snow and the mountains and all of the things that are too cold for my blood. But you are also looking forward to
Very
this.
excited. I got 11 inches of snow, so I'm
got
good.
your fill?
We can keep on moving now.
All right, yes, let's do it. All right, thank you, Majestic.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
that. Looking forward to the weekend and even beyond, even Monday. Oh my gosh, who knew? All right, and we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, at 9:14, everybody, we are here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus and dipping into some of the coverage now out of D.C., where Secretary Hegseth is swearing in new military recruits at the Washington Monument, and he will then later on go ahead and administer the oath of enlistment to new military recruits during another ceremony. But let's go ahead and listen in here on Live Impact News.
Mechanics wearing camouflage, they're all important to our nation, to be sure. But look at the thousands of square feet that make up this production site, where you produce the next generation of launch vehicles and spacecraft, like the new Shepard launch vehicle and the Blue Moon lander. I just had the privilege of also meeting with Administrator Isaacman over at NASA. And your work here, along with his, will help President Trump accomplish the national security policy objectives at record pace, including critical projects like Artemis. And you're exactly right. We're going to make space great again. That sign is our motto. Because all of you have dedicated your lives to precision, skill, and hard work in hard hats. Different kind of hats than the helmets soldiers wear, but the same kind of mission, all to deliver capabilities to the warfighter in the space domain made right here in America. You see, for far too long, under the previous administration, we had leaders who thought we could outsource our capabilities to other countries, or that we could live in a global environment where your skills don't matter anymore. Or we could work at the glacial pace of just a few prime contractors, and that was tolerated. A world with vendor-locked, over-budget, behind-schedule contracts. None of those things happened here, by the way. You guys are under budget and ahead of schedule. That's what today's warfighter needs. And under President Trump and his leadership, those days of yesteryear are over. Because we have to live in a realistic world where urgency matters. We live in a realistic world where American strength has to partner with American manufacturing. And if you don't have both, you don't have a free country. And you have to have world-class manufacturing. Let me tell you this. Take your cameras through this factory. And what I said to Mr. Bezos was this might be some of the most sophisticated manufacturing the world has ever seen that can only be done at scale in the United States of America. We will unleash our companies, unleash industry, unleash the competitive spirit that allows America to come out on top. When we compete, we win. When we innovate, we win. When we confront the status quo, we win. And I don't know if you know this, but we have a commander-in-chief who's pretty interested in winning. No more.
And that was Secretary Pete Hegseth talking at a ceremony to recruit new military recruits there in Washington, D.C. We'll get back to that here shortly. But first, this morning, right now, here in the Charlotte area, we want to talk about a group that's doing some great work. They've been since 1997. The Echo Foundation, now bringing one of the world's leading voices in artificial intelligence to Charlotte next week in a groundbreaking, or this is the 24th, but for a groundbreaking conversation with local high school students about AI's role in shaping our future, really. The curriculum was developed by area students, including Nandana Ramesh, and we are joined by Nandana as well as Stacy Shanslin, the president of Echo Foundation this morning, who is helping just kind of see this big event through and into the future. And now, I mean, we're at a really great time, I would say, for students, right? All right. Good morning, you two. Thanks for coming in.
Good morning.
All right. We were supposed to meet earlier this week, but we had all that snow and ice. Stacey, let me start with you. Talk to us, for those who are not familiar with the Echo Foundation, what the group does, your mission, and what this focus on artificial intelligence is telling us.
Sure. So the Echo Foundation is a Charlotte-based nonprofit focused on providing educational opportunities to our Charlotte area high school students. And we have decided to focus this year on AI for humanity and helping our students really look at the intersection of technology and our responsibility to make sure it is used to the benefit of society and people everywhere.
Okay, so on a day-to-day level or even year after year, what does this look like as far as organization and your board of directors? How do you do that?
So we provide educational programming to our students across the Charlotte community, and part of that over the years is we have brought 15 Nobel laureates to Charlotte as well as 42 world leaders, and in doing that we connect them with our high school students and show them that these leaders take action and take responsibility for making a difference in the world, and that they too can have that impact in their world. And we do that through our educational programming.
And Nandana, you are here on the ground level going through that process. What is that like for you as a Charlotte area student and also helping develop part of this curriculum?
Yes, I think engaging in Echo's educational programming has been an amazing experience for me. Last summer, I had the opportunity to be an intern with the Echo Foundation through their Voices Against Indifference program, where I was able to develop the curriculum along with 7 other high school students. And we truly just collaborated through the whole process. We were able to interview experts, we were able to gather articles around AI for humanity, and we were also able to continue that process throughout the year by sharing the curriculum with teachers around Charlotte and in retirement communities.
What is that conversation like then between student and educators and sort of trying to bridge that gap from both of your perspectives?
Right. I think that is truly an amazing conversation we've had to bridge that gap. I think one way we've tried to do this year through our curriculum is having lesson plans. So having these comprehensive lesson plans in our curriculum has really helped show teachers how we can make information around AI more accessible and also align it with NC standards, and also just showing a multitude of different perspectives, like how AI can benefit students and also harm them at the same time, is something that teachers really relate to in their own daily experience.
And Stacy, I mean, from your perspective, what is this like to see kids up and coming like this and branch out and find their own way?
So over the years, ECHO has brought our custom curriculum to over 750,000 students and teachers across the Charlotte region. And so it's remarkable to see our students learn and grow. Our program really teaches them that they can be the compassionate leaders of tomorrow and helps guide them through the curriculum development and through the studying of that curriculum over the course of a year. It really shows them that they too have the power to make a difference.
So let's talk about what makes AI for Humanity and this year's curriculum different from other AI education programs.
Sure. So we chose AI because of its global impact. Everyone is speaking about it. It's so important right now. Teachers are wondering, how to navigate it in the classroom. Parents are wondering, and asking how they should describe it to their children, as well as the professional realm, and seeing it reshape the employee market, the job market. So we wanted to stop and really create space to have a conversation around all of those things, but as well as taking a look at how this will impact society as a whole from the humanity aspect. How will it benefit us, and what are the challenges?
Yeah.
And bringing a global leader like Eli Collins to Charlotte to engage with our students and the community to help answer those questions.
Yeah, I was going to say, so talk to us about your guest this year, Eli, and is it Andrea? I forgot.
Yes.
Andrea Smith.
Yes. So our program that is taking place on February 24th at the Carolina Theater will welcome Eli Collins. He is VP of Product for Google DeepMind, an expert in leading teams that have developed AI tools called Gemma, but also really an expert in operationalizing AI at the cutting edge of what's happening as a member of the team at Global DeepMind. He will come to Charlotte and have a conversation on stage, fireside chat, answering the really relevant questions about what's happening now, what does our future look like, and what can we consider as part of society and the impact it'll have.
Okay, and also honoring
Andrea Smith.
Yes.
So we will honor Andrea with our award against indifference that really recognizes our Charlotte leaders for acting for their impact. Andrea is being awarded this honor as a past executive at Bank of America for a number of years, but also as a trailblazer within our community, lifting up women within their leadership roles through her board memberships, as well as her professional mentorship. She has also led many initiatives around equity and brought Charlotte has held up Charlotte as a place, as part of a leader of the Charlotte Business Alliance.
Absolutely. Nanda, I got to ask you, as a young person living with AI and being part of developing the curriculum, what questions do you have as far as, it's in your life, it's in your career, it's in your future, in your past, so you are this AI generation. What questions do you have?
I would say the question that comes to mind first is really just how do we allow AI to expand ethically and keep ethics and humanity at the forefront of AI policy and the discussion around AI, because we know it's coming, we know it's inevitably going to expand. So just thinking about how we can make it stay ethical and stay a net good for humanity, I think, is the greatest question that working on this curriculum and just my study of AI in general as a student has made me realize.
Do you feel, I don't want to put any kind of words, but how do you feel about the future of AI?
I think it poses a lot of questions around ethics. I mean, as we developed the curriculum, we saw so many different viewpoints. We saw AI posing security risks through deepfakes, but we also saw the potential for AI to be good in, contributing to innovations in security. So there's always these two different sides with AI in any topic that we look at, whether it be education, whether it be healthcare. And I think the main thing that we need to look for is how we as humans can ensure that we're using it in the positive ways and trying to mitigate the negative ways.
Yeah. Stacey, your message to those Charlotteans or families or young kids who might be concerned or uncertain about AI's growth and want to get involved, what do you tell them? I should ask both of you that.
So involvement in the Echo Foundation, we welcome our high school students on the 24th. As part of our Voices Against Indifference initiative, we will be hosting a student dialogue with Eli Collins. It will be at Waddell High School, and we welcome all high school students across the Charlotte area to come and engage and ask those hard questions, ask about what they're worried about, what they see as a positive. It is truly built, as Ellie Wiesel once said, to echo, students they want to have a dialogue, they don't want to have a lecture. Yeah. And so we've built our programming in that way to give our students a voice to ask those questions of the global humanitarians we welcome to Charlotte.
Fantastic. That's Carolina Theater, right? February 24th?
So Carolina Theater, February 24th, is an opportunity for the Charlotte community to come together. Okay. Students, parents, adults, really anyone who's curious about AI and what its future holds.
Yeah.
We welcome them to join us, and tickets are available online on our website. We offer individual tickets, sponsorships. We welcome the community to join us at that time.
And Nanda, speaking to your peers or those who might just, kind of on the fringe of what's going on, not quite sure what to do, what do you tell your peers about AI?
I think through the development of this curriculum, I really tell them that we can't really just see AI as just good or bad. We need to include multiple perspectives when we're discussing AI. Through the development of the curriculum, we had 8 different interns talking about what information we should include, how it should be included, in what order. And I think through that, we really created a comprehensive curriculum that has so many different perspectives and viewpoints around AI. So whenever I'm discussing the topic with my peers, I really just try to keep those different perspectives in mind and just try to have an engaging debate or conversation with them through that lens.
Yeah, I guess that's all we can ask for right now, is to start with a conversation. Anything else that we should know or viewers should know about the Echo Foundation or the AI initiative, AI for Humanity?
Sure. So we are thrilled, like I said, to welcome Eli to Charlotte on the 24th, as well as honor Andrea Smith for her work in our community. I think it's important to note that we're really, through this initiative and our engagement with our students and a world leader in AI, we're bringing Charlotte to the center of a global conversation on what does our future look like with AI and how will it impact us as people, us as a society. So to continue that conversation together on the 24th and beyond, we're thrilled to do so.
That's great. And what a nice feather in the cap for the Charlotte area to bring students and the Echo Foundation together, an important topic that really comes up everywhere, every industry these days. So Stacey Shandlin from Echo Foundation and Nandana Ramesh, one of the students who, talking to you really gives me encouragement in what our future is. So thank you for opening up our ears and eyes to what it can be. Appreciate your time, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:32, welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. On the national level, we are following President Trump's look to cut health care costs with his initiative and effort to slash prescription prices with Trump RX. Alice Barr in Washington has the latest for us now on NBC News, WCNC Plus.
Under pressure to address soaring healthcare costs, President Trump launching a new discount drug platform, TrumpRx.gov.
People are going to save a lot of money and be healthy.
The website, announced in the fall, is now live, offering coupons for discounted prices on so far 43 brand name medications if patients pay cash instead of using insurance, though the site notes to check insurance copays first, which may be lower. The platform's price cuts come through agreements the White House struck with at least 16 drug makers to avoid tariffs. They allow for most favored nation pricing compared to other wealthy countries.
We will pay equal to whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world.
Given that more than 80% of Americans have prescription drug insurance coverage, according to the Department of Health and Human Services, critics argue a cash approach may have limited impact. Democrats still pushing for extending the Affordable Care Act subsidies that expired at the start of the year, sending premiums soaring for millions, looking to make the case they're the ones
pushing to fix our broken healthcare system.
Healthcare costs are a central issue for Americans heading into this year's midterm elections that Democrats are working to draw attention back to amid a new funding fight over the Department of Homeland Security and immigration enforcement reforms.
They're defending using tax dollars to create chaos in our cities instead of using those dollars to reduce costs of health care.
A political lightning rod as Americans look for relief. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News. Funding.
All right, time right now is 9:34 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, bringing you breaking news of this crash that is still working at the exit ramp along 485 near Oakdale Road. It remains closed. You can see our photojournalist shot there from across the interstate, but this is where a number of cars collided, happening around 7:30 this morning. The latest right now is the 485 inner loop around mile marker 18, that's near Oakdale Road. The ramp remains closed at exit 18. Medic pronouncing one person dead on the scene. So this is going to be a while, unfortunately. Fatal crash investigation now in the northwest Charlotte area along 485 inner. We'll keep tabs on that, but you can see, at least from this angle, main lines along both sides of 485 seem to be clear. Traffic has been pretty light all week. Right now, here at 9:35 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, it appears that our sentencing hearing is taking place out of Raleigh. This is for Austin Thompson, the accused shooter who did plead guilty to 5 counts of murder in a mass shooting back in 2022. The sentencing hearing continues. Let's listen in live on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Matter to search histories. Is that right? Is that fair?
Yes.
And there can be reasons people search things that you can't surmise just from their search history. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to talk about some things that we do know about Austin. Austin is a teenager, right?
Yes.
And he goes to high school?
Yes.
High schools have mass shooter drills, don't they?
Yes, they do.
And people talk about mass shootings when they happen, right?
Yes.
And in 2022, the Buffalo mass shooting happened, didn't it?
I don't recall the exact date, but I believe it was around that time.
Would May 14th of 2022 make sense around that time?
I still don't have to take your word.
Okay. And that was in the media a lot, wasn't it?
I believe so.
And Uvalde happened that year, didn't it?
I believe so.
And that was really in the media, wasn't it?
Very much so.
Almost daily updates about new information, right?
Yes.
For months, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of your report up there?
I do.
Wonderful. I want to go through and talk about your report, and I'm just going to try and go sequentially through, but we may zigzag around some information.
Okay.
I am going to come back and talk about page 10, but I'm going to do that a little later.
Okay.
So let's go to page 11, start looking at page 11 of your report.
Okay.
So on this page, we have some web browsing activity, and that is centered around the 2020 and 2021 time period. Is that fair?
Yes.
And I want to point something out on this. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th line down, it says ABC 11/tag/mass shooting. That was something that you read off of the screen yesterday on the spreadsheet, correct?
I believe so.
And I believe in that spreadsheet, when you read that, it had a different timestamp than the timestamp we see here. Is that right?
That's right.
When we saw it on the green spreadsheet up there, what we were looking at was the Fave Icon database, right?
Yeah, the favicons. That's correct.
And with those, if they don't have that IE number that gives us a time and date, right?
The EI, yes.
EI, I apologize. Then what we're seeing is the date of the last time that general website was visited, correct?
It's the last time that the favicon had been downloaded, and in that general time frame, yes.
And so that's not the date or the time of the actual web browsing activity necessarily.
Correct.
But here we actually have a date and time that appears to be of that web browsing activity.
It does.
Because that comes from a different database.
It does.
So different databases can give us different information. Is that
Correct.
And I just want to be clear because for that spreadsheet, Google had a time of 10:13 at about 6 p.m. for all of their entries on the Fave Icon database. Is that right?
Not Google, but the way that the database was entering the dates and times, they're not the actual visited times. That's why it's difficult to determine when the actual date and time is, and that's why you have to use other methods to obtain it.
Correct. And so for a lot of what we looked at, there were those EI codes that gave us a date and time within that database, correct?
It was within the link of the URL.
But for ones that didn't have that EI, we just got that date and time of that last download of the icon, correct?
It's in a general time frame of the last time it was downloaded from that link. So like if you went to CNN and the first time it went to CNN, it would download that favicon, and then until you revisited or got a new favicon for that site, it would still use that same date. So you can get a range based on other links, but the more accurate, and what you're referencing here on page 11 is the rejected resources, is a more accurate timestamp. And the reason for that is it catalogs the actual link that the person has visited, and then if there was a rejected favicon, that icon that's in the actual browser, then it will record that link in time.
Correct. And so while there was a date and time on that spreadsheet that you were reading from yesterday, this is the correct one for that particular URL. Is that fair?
For this URL in that table inside of the database, correct.
Okay. And so that was visited in 2020, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Moving to page 12. Looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4th entry down, this is about a shooting at a Special Olympics carnival in Knightdale, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that that had happened on 4/4/22?
No, I wasn't.
Okay. And so that was visited on 4/4/22, correct?
Yes.
And like we said, context can matter, right?
Sure.
And so this was a current event at that time.
Yes.
Okay. The next entry down, you had included as well, and it is a website it's a website visit about humane ways to shoot animals when you are hunting, correct?
It says humane shooting and shot placement, if I'm looking at the correct one that you're referencing.
Correct. And the base URL is farmerassist.com.
Yes, .au.
Mm-hmm. And did you happen to look at that link at all?
I didn't actually go to the site.
Mm-hmm.
I just parsed out, because there was thousands and thousands of them.
Okay. All right. And then moving to the next entry, we touched on this, but the Buffalo mass shooting happened in May of 2022, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Going to the next page, page 13, I want to address something that you said on direct about this page. You said you referred to these as searches, but I want to be clear, these were not necessarily searches, these are web browsing activity, correct?
Correct. These are not necessarily searches. Most of these appear to be links that were visited.
And you don't know how those links got there, right?
Well, whoever was using the phone at the time would have had to have visited these sites.
But you don't know if it was a link clicked off of, say, a news alert email.
I don't know the progression of how they got there.
You don't know if somebody texted a link to a story or an article, right?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. All right. Going on to page 14, talking about the Google searches. And this is where we get into these EIs that give us a more specific date and time, right?
That's correct.
You mentioned yesterday about the difference between what was input into the Google search bar versus what was actually searched, because there's that suggestive search, right?
It's predictive searching. That's right, yeah. So depending upon how a person types it, and then if they select
All right, with that frozen picture there, we will regroup here, take the opportunity to take a break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. At 9:47, welcome back to Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. An update from NBC News on the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, Nancy Guthrie. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano saying that he has no plans to schedule any further news conference unless, quote, we have some real evidence or something major comes up. So they will not conduct a press conference as far as we know today, at least so far. The brother of Savannah released a video yesterday renewing a plea for any alleged kidnapper or rumored kidnapper or abductor to show proof of life and to return their mother, Nancy, who now is 6 days gone missing, 6 days into the search for the mother of today's show, co-anchor Savannah Guthrie. We'll keep you updated there as far as any details. Right now, we want to get to the press conference actually from the sheriff. This is from yesterday, so we'll get you caught up here because right now we don't have anything planned as far as on the Pima County Sheriff's Office, but this is the sheriff from yesterday now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Trying not to cover any of these microphones up. Good morning. I hope you've been kind of informed of the rules. I'm going to try to get as many, if not all of you, an opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice, and you're going to get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up, okay? But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers, Colonel Glover and his team, I'm sure, would greatly appreciate it. Along the same lines, I think you all saw last night, I'm trying to speak up, not yell, because apparently I talk soft. We saw last night the family, they just hurt, understandably so. And so I really want you to know this entire team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back, okay? Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the Sheriff's Department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department, Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still, and we're hoping that, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting. right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at, every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene,
we're going to break away from the Pima County Sheriff's Office previously recorded catching up on Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, Savannah Guthrie's mother, to take you out to a live press conference right now. This is Department of Justice. You can see Pam Bondi, Attorney General, with a press conference. Let's go ahead and listen in.
And Glenn Doherty, who gave their lives in defense of others and exemplified the very best of our agency. I'd now like to turn it over to Director Patel for remarks, and I again want to thank him for his relentless work in this case.
General, thank you. And I want to steal one of your lines. Never forget. Pam never forgot. The President never forgot. This FBI never forgot, and certainly U.S. Attorney Pirro never forgot. When an act of terrorism of this magnitude strikes at the heart of our nation, we go to work. President Trump has given us the full resources at the FBI and across the interagency to make sure we deliver justice. And Pam, you're right. Dan and I did sit down early on about this to bring justice, but you led the effort. You brought together the interagency. You said we are going to get this done because no one agency alone can do it. So we are thankful to have an Attorney General at the Department of Justice who works together with every single cabinet secretary and enforce the law. What you saw today, and I want to get, or what you're going to see today, I want to address in a minute, but I want to remind the folks out there the work of this Department of Justice. We were here just a few short months ago talking about how we were going to raise the RFJ for another violent offender on the run, Ryan Wedding. And what did we do under Attorney General's leadership? And what did we do when President Trump said, go get the worst of the worst? We captured him. We captured together, under President Trump's leadership, 6 of the FBI's most wanted fugitives in 1 calendar year. To put that in perspective, that is 2 more than the entirety of the prior administration. And you cannot do that alone at the FBI. You have to have an Attorney General and a Department of Justice willing to prosecute, willing to go to the 4 corners of the earth and make sure we deliver justice. And that's what we're doing here today. I was at the airfield with U.S. Attorney Pirro earlier this morning when we did the formal foreign transfer of custody of Bakush into U.S. custody to face prosecution under her auspices and her office. And the Department of Justice are going to execute justice for the fallen. As a young prosecutor at CTS in the National Security Division, I worked on the Benghazi case. This was very near and dear and personal to me. We lost 4 brave Americans in Chris, Sean, Kyle, and Steve. And we can never, ever, ever forget them. Ever. And we will not. In order to put something like this together, it doesn't happen overnight. The FBI's hostage rescue team, the FBI's critical incident response group, our Special Flight Operations Unit, and countless others, along with the agents in the New York field office who never forgot Benghazi and never let the world forget it, endured over a decade to bring yet another terrorist who killed 4 Americans to justice. That is a relentless pursuit of mission. That can only happen when you have an interagency who's willing to get after it. I'm extremely thankful to the CIA and Director Ratcliffe and our other law enforcement partners for making sure that the world knows that if you kill an American citizen in an act of terrorism, we will hunt you down. We will bring you to justice, and you will face justice here in America, not in another court and not in any other proceeding around the world, but here. You killed our own, so we are going to take it to the streets to make sure you are held accountable. Once again, I'd really like to thank the entirety of the FBI, headquarters divisions. There are so many moving pieces to actually execute a foreign transfer of custody. And now we're talking about the 7th, the 3rd in just a couple of weeks. And I don't know if that has ever happened before in U.S. history. It's happening because President Trump backs the blue. President Trump has given law enforcement the resources we need to take the fight across the world. And the Attorney General has been relentless in her mission to make sure that these victims are remembered and that we bring them some semblance of peace by bringing those who killed their loved ones to justice. It's a little full circle for me. Yes, then Director Deputy Bongino and I did sit down and said, how are we going to get this guy? How are we going to find the individual responsible for the Benghazi attacks? And we sat down with Jeanine Pirro.
You've been watching live a press conference from the DOJ on the arrest of the Benghazi suspect. We'll get back to that here shortly. First, a break on Live Impact News on WCNC+. Here on a Friday morning, you're watching Live Impact News on WCNC+. I'm Jane Monreal. We are following some live feeds right now. This is Washington, D.C., where at the White House, the Department of Justice just holding a press conference on the arrest of a suspect, a Benghazi suspect. Top left is the sentencing hearing continuing out of North Carolina's capital in Raleigh from the 2022 mass shooting where Austin Thompson pleaded guilty to 5 counts of murder. And then, of course, we're counting down here to Super Bowl 60, a live picture now of Levi Stadium, where you can watch the Super Bowl Sunday night here on WCNC Charlotte. But we'll take you now back to the DOJ live on Live Impact News.
And conspiracy to provide materials for terrorists and support that resulted in the death of 4 Americans, as well as arson at the special mission. I don't have to go through all of the facts, but every one of us remembers this case. I reported on it when I worked at Fox. I had relationships, as Kash Patel just said, with the families. And last night, as soon as they were in custody, because of Pam and because of Kash, we had a limited unsealing order from Judge Cooper that allowed me to speak to the family members to let them know that justice was coming for Bakush. I spoke with Sean Smith's mother, who I've known for years and have communicated with for years. I spoke with Tyrone Woods' widow, Dr. Dorothy Woods. I spoke with Ambassador Chris Stevens' family, as well as Glenn Doherty's brother, Greg, as well as his widow. These were people who never expected that justice would be coming. They never knew about the determination in this room and behind me, and the incredible work of the FBI along this case for years and years, because this was something that mattered. The Benghazi saga was a painful one for Americans. It has stayed with all of us. And let me be very clear, there are more of them out there. Time will not stop us from going after these predators, no matter how long it takes, in order to fulfill our obligation to those families who suffered horrific pain at the hands of these violent terrorists. And now, I again want to tell everyone that American justice is here, that President Trump will make sure that the cavalry comes for Americans no matter where they are in this world. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions.
I have a on topic and an off topic. Sure. Tell us a little bit about how he was captured, where he was captured. Was he in jail for a while before? Was he at home? What can you tell us about how this all went down?
We're not going to give out a lot of the details, but I'm going to let Cash take what we can say.
The general's right. We have to protect the integrity of the investigation and the ongoing prosecution. That's of the utmost importance. It always is, to make sure even this individual, receives the constitutional protections only afforded in the United States of America. But an FTOC, a foreign transfer of custody, is executed by the FBI each and every time with special tactical assets, FBI agents, and of course medical personnel. And that was done in this instance. And the individual was apprehended and transferred over the night and into custody early this morning at an airfield. And so that's about all we can say on that matter. But in order to maintain the chain of custody, this is what the FBI does, routine, every time. It's what we did for the 6 top 10 we already captured. It's what we did for the relentless others that we continue to capture.
Was he picked up in Libya?
He was picked up overseas.
And then if I could just ask you two quick off topics. Obviously, this terrible tragedy we're watching in Arizona with Nancy Guthrie. I understand you know Savannah Guthrie. What is the federal government doing right now? Is the FBI now leading the investigation, taking it over from the locals?
We're doing everything to assist the locals. We're working with the locals. Breaks my heart for Savannah and for her family. I know she's asked for all of our prayers, so please pray for her beautiful mom, pray for her family that she's returned home. That's all we can say about that at this time. But yeah, I've known Savannah for over 30 years, and it's breaking my heart.
If I may, there seems to be a little confusion with DNI Gabbard was down in Atlanta last week for the Fulton County search. Originally, this office said that she was not part of the investigation. She put in a letter to Congress that President Trump directed her to do so. And then now President Trump yesterday said that it was at your insistence that she went down there. So what is the case here?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. It's that's interesting because DNI Gabbard and I are inseparable. We are constantly together, as are the people behind us. We constantly talk, we collaborate as a cabinet. We're all extremely close, know what each other, what we're doing at all times pretty much to keep not only our country safe but our world safe. And she was down there with Deputy Director Andrew Bailey of the FBI. And I'm not going to talk about any other details of that matter right now because Georgia's a very important issue to us. She was there. We're inseparable. That's all I'll say.
Mike, can you say, was there foreign involvement in the capture of this suspect? What kind of assistance did you get from other countries?
I'm going to let Director Patel take that. I think we're not going to be able to say a lot on that matter as well. But and to you personally, I'm so sorry you and your NBC family are going through this right now.
We appreciate it.
As the general said, in order to execute an apprehension, a capture, and a foreign transfer of custody, no one agency alone can do it. We did it throughout the interagency here, and of course we're working with partners overseas. And we're not going to get into the details of those conversations and those ongoing matters because as the U.S. Attorney indicated to you, we're not done. And so what we want to do is maintain not just the integrity of this investigation, but the possibility and the promise of bringing more individuals to justice for this heinous act of terror.
Do we have time for a couple more?
Yeah,
we have something else going on at 10 o'clock down there.
Yeah, so on Benghazi, what did the communication look like between the Trump administration and the victims' families throughout this process, if any? I know someone as far as Sue Clinton during, in the early days of this, but what's the communication look like with them?
I think what I can say now is that do you want to take that, Director? We've had to keep everything very quiet for obvious reasons up until this point. And then U.S. Attorney Pirro, as she said, contacted all the families, and I think they were absolutely thrilled. I think they had probably lost faith that something would happen. But again, we never forget. Donald Trump never forgets. Yeah, and we have a 10 o'clock in our office that's a very positive if anyone would like to join us on that. So thank you. Go ahead.
That the DNI, the Tulsi Gabbard's presence in Atlanta during a law enforcement search, are you concerned at all that that could taint whatever the FBI is doing and whatever findings come from that investigation?
Absolutely not. And Andrew Bailey was taking the lead down there. He's Director Patel's Deputy Director of the FBI. Thank you all. Thanks.
Oh, sorry about that, ma'am.
Oh, it's okay.
You've been watching live a press conference from the DOJ at the White House talking about the arrest of the Benghazi suspect and details limited as far as what led up to the arrest, how they captured the suspect, but indeed a suspect arrested now from the Department of Justice. We'll take a quick break here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Time right now is 10:11 here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Jane Monreal. We get you back out to Raleigh, where the sentencing hearing continues this week for Austin Thompson. They've been focusing more on evidence rather than testimony from victims' families. But Austin Thompson, you might remember, the teen who killed 5 people back in 2022, pleaded guilty to 5 counts of murder. We continue to listen in now on Live Impact News.
These categories. Okay?
Okay.
If you want to write 29,460 down at the bottom of that page I handed you, just so that you remember that number. $29,460.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and start here with the law searches concerning assaults, rapes, murders, and manslaughter.
Wait. Repeat that, please.
Law searches concerning assaults, rapes, murder, manslaughter, assaults on law enforcement officers, all of that. That category has 148 entries.
Okay.
If you could calculate the percentage of that category of his overall favicon database.
All right. Sorry, I keep double tapping on this. If you're asking me what percentage out of that, I would say it would be a small. How about we do that for...
Why don't I come on up and we'll do it together?
Okay.
You know my approach?
Yeah. Judge, if she knows the percentage and she wants to just ask him, is this the percentage sound fair, we're happy to stipulate to that.
If you know, you're welcome to ask it that way as well, but if you wanted to walk through the arithmetic, you can do that as well.
I don't have all of them written down myself, Your Honor. Okay, so 148 divided by 29460, and then we would multiply that by 100, right?
Sure.
And we get 0.50.
That's what it says.
So 0.5% of his overall search history. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to be able to see too, so you can make sure, keep me honest. Okay. I am going to come down here to, let's do serial killers, 32. So 32 divided by 29460, and then we're going to multiply that by 100. So that would be 0.1% of his overall search history?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do school shootings. 25 divided by 29460 times 100. 0.085%, is that right?
That's what it says.
Okay, so less than 0.1%. Is that right?
Yes.
And everything below that on that chart has less entries. Is that fair?
That is correct.
Okay. And so they're going to be less.
All right, for some reason, that feed coming out of Raleigh gets a little touch and go, a little sticky at times. So we'll switch gears here and take you now out to Washington, D.C., where Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent is chairing a public meeting of the Financial Literacy and Education Commission. Let's go ahead and listen in on Live Impact News.
Controller Gould, Chairman Hauptman.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks to you all, and especially thanks to everyone who was involved in creating the Trump accounts. There's a lot to like about Trump accounts, including how easy it is to start the process when filing your taxes. It's not on someone's to-do list. You don't have to know about it. You just have to do something you were going to do anyway. That is to say, these accounts were clearly designed with behavioral economics in mind. Things that are easier to do are more likely to get done. And filing taxes is something people do anyway. So compared to opening a regular IRA or a 529 college plan, Trump accounts are lower friction than anything that has come before them. Even the name is good marketing. Calling them Trump accounts is more evocative of wealth building than is 529 or 401k, both of which, for better or worse, are named after the sections of the tax code. Trump accounts turn all these kids into investors. And the more Americans that identify as investors, the better off we are. Investing done by regular working people turns Marxism on its head. The proletariat is the capital. The proletariat, the working people, are the owners of the means of production. But I think my favorite part of these accounts are all these children learning about compound interest. I'm picturing a high school senior, like I was back in the day, learning that when I was born, $1,000 was put into my account, saying, wait, then why is it $5,000 now? Well, son, you're about to learn a very valuable lesson in compound interest. Credit unions have been involved in financial literacy since they were formed over 100 years ago. Over half provide financial education. They do. Just last year, there were 98 fairs that involve at school that involve students, over 11,000. For example, Business Credit Union up in New York, they call their in-school branches financial wellness centers. They're full-service branches for students, faculty, and staff. One thing all teens have now that didn't when I was younger is a smartphone. Credit unions have used that platform to offer gamified learning platforms that make literacy accessible and enjoyable. And kids will be checking on their smartphone the balance of their Trump account. So I look forward to collaborating with the FLEC and its partners as we work together to build lasting financial literacy and true inheritable wealth.
Thank you, Chairman Hauptman. Secretary Chavez-DeRemer.
Thank you. I want to thank Secretary Bessent for hosting this important meeting of Financial Literacy and Education Commission. It's an honor to join such a dedicated group focused on promoting the financial well-being of all Americans. At the Department of Labor, we are working closely to support the Department of Treasury's important work on these Trump accounts. This innovative plan allows parents and guardians to establish a new type of savings vehicle for their children, further promoting financial literacy and well-being. We are supportive of these efforts as we at Labor also continue our work in encouraging employers to offer comprehensive benefits to their employees. Looking ahead, we plan to issue guidance in collaboration with Treasury on issues that may arise under the Employee Retirement Income Security Act, otherwise known as ERISA, with respect to Trump accounts. We anticipate that this guidance will include a discussion on the best way employers can structure contributions to these Trump accounts. We are eager to continue working with Treasury to promote the adoption of these accounts. The Department of Labor hopes to be a valuable resource in these efforts, and we look forward to continuing our work with Treasury. Thank you again, Secretary Bessent, for hosting this meeting, and to all of you for your commitment to this essential cause. Together, let's build a brighter financial future for our young Americans. And I want to make sure to thank the Department of Labor as we have worked continuously through this process. We have a lot of work to do. We will support Treasury. This is important for the administration. This is important for President Trump, that he has invested in our future and our future workforce. Well, they will have, I'm so excited for the future of our young people as we create more jobs, and this is only going to inspire them to invest in themselves. And what I tell young Americans every single day, when you invest in yourselves, it is our responsibility as the federal government to assist you in that and be your ally and not your adversary. And we want to make sure that we're important in this sector. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Assistant Secretary Cassidy.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary Bessent. And thank you, Assistant Secretary Luke Pettit and fellow Commission members. HUD and the Federal Housing Administration appreciates the opportunity to join today's discussion on Trump accounts and their potential to support long-term financial independence. Trump accounts are designed to do more than simply save. They create an early wealth-building opportunity that many American families would not otherwise have access to. The structure of Trump accounts matters. Early withdrawals are limited, and future use is tied to major life milestones like education or first-time home purchases. That design reinforces long-term planning and creates a natural entry point for financial education. Expanding opportunities for financial independence and upward mobility is central to HUD's mission. Financial education is a foundation to stable housing and sustainable home ownership. Trump accounts reflect a growing recognition that early savings paired with financial education can shape long-term outcomes. The initial federally funded $1,000 contribution creates a tangible starting point that can spark early engagement with saving and investing, making home ownership more achievable. As we all know, the path to home ownership is getting longer. In 1991, the typical first-time homebuyer was 28 years old. By 2020, that age had climbed to 33. Today, it has reached 40, an all-time high. This is simply unacceptable, and the Trump administration is committed to using all the tools at our disposal to improve this situation for aspiring American homeowners. Trump accounts are a perfect example. A child born after July 5th who receives the $1,000 initial contribution and has $250 contributed each year could have nearly $50,000 available by age 27 to help purchase a first home. For context, the minimum FHA down payment is just 3.5%, meaning this kind of early investing can clear the down payment hurdle entirely. This is a meaningful sum that helps address one of the primary barriers to home ownership for young Americans. HUD would welcome the opportunity to partner with the Department of Treasury to support outreach and education around Trump accounts. Through HUD's network of more than 1,500 HUD-approved housing counseling agencies and over 4,000 HUD-certified counselors, families can work with trusted professionals to plan ahead, understand their options, and make informed decisions. This guidance helps connect education, housing, and saving to broader financial stability. HUD recognizes the potential of Trump accounts to strengthen long-term financial independence. Treasury's leadership is essential, and HUD is well positioned to partner by bringing trusted financial education to families during implementation. We look forward to working alongside Treasury and our fellow Commission members to promote early saving and help families build a meaningful foundation for financial security.
Thank you, Assistant Secretary Cassidy. Commissioner Bisignano.
Welcome to everyone, and thank you to Secretary.
And we'll get back to that event taking place, financial literacy and financial commission meeting happening out of Washington, D.C. after a break on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back here now on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, I'm Jane Monreal. Time right now on Friday morning 1026. We get you out to Raleigh, which is the site of a sentencing hearing trial for the shooting suspect who pleaded guilty, Austin Thompson. He was a teen at the time of a 2022 mass shooting where 5 people lost their lives. Let's go to the sentencing hearing portion on Live Impact News.
And other stakeholders in the topic of the identification, prevention of mass shootings. She is a licensed psychologist and can certainly present to the court a subject matter expertise of these types of situations, and will be able to provide what we believe would be relevant evidence for the court to hear. Certainly would ask that Your Honor receive her testimony, and if Your Honor decides that it is not relevant, you can certainly make that determination. But we believe that she would be relevant in explaining some of these overarching themes of what we've got here.
Any further?
No.
All right. I will receive the information. I don't believe that simply receiving it would rise to a level that it would be so prejudicial that it would render these proceedings fundamentally unfair. Obviously, as the court receiving this information, I will assign whatever weight it is due. I accept the fact that the defense has pointed out that this witness has not examined Mr. Thompson, has no personal knowledge of Mr. Thompson, but I'm also do find that it may be relevant and probative to hear overarching theories that this witness may have to offer the court. So I'm going to receive it and assign whatever weight and relevance I deem appropriate for all of the evidence in this case.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state would call Dr. Gibson.
Come on up, Dr. Gibson.
Good morning, Dr. Gibson. Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right, face the man of the clerk.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you give the court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you, baby.
Well, thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Dr. Gibson. Can you just introduce yourself to the court and spell your last name for the court?
Yes. My name is Dr. Carrie Gibson. It's K-A-R-I-E, and then last name is G-I-B-S-O-N.
And how are you employed?
I am a supervisory special agent with the FBI.
And how long have you been in that particular role?
So I've been a special agent with the FBI for over 19 years, but specifically a supervisory special agent for almost 11 years now.
And can you tell the court what you do in your current role?
Currently, the last 4 years, I've been the unit chief of the Behavioral Analysis Unit 1, where our mission is to prevent acts of terrorism and targeted violence. So I lead a team of around 20 individuals where that is our focus, to be proactively involved in the prevention of mass violence and terrorism. In that role, we provide behavioral support to our local, federal, and state law enforcement officers in the cases that we provide assistance with.
And prior to this role, what other roles have you had with the FBI?
Prior to becoming the unit chief of the Behavioral Analysis Unit, I was a profiler there for almost 7 years in the same unit, working to prevent acts of targeted violence and terrorism, responding to active shooter events, as well as completing research and publication on those events. And then prior to that, I was a special agent in the FBI's Minneapolis division.
And prior to joining the FBI, what did you do?
I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and so I was an active duty Air Force psychologist for 4 years, and then after I left the United States Air Force, I worked for 1 year for Washington State Hospital, completing court-ordered assessments such as competency stand trial, mental state at time of offense, and civil commitment proceedings.
And you mentioned, are you still a licensed psychologist?
Yes, I am. I hold a license in the state of Minnesota since 2005 and in the state of Virginia, or the Commonwealth of Virginia since 2023.
And do you hold any other licensures?
No other licensures, no.
In terms of, I think you mentioned, can you describe some of the research that you've done and publications, if any, that you've participated in or written yourself?
Sure. So for the role, one of our primary roles at the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit is to provide resources and research to really inform whatever fact pattern that we're looking at, to really understand how we can be proactive and helpful in that space. And so in my unit of the Behavioral Analysis Unit 1, our focus is obviously on prevention. And so our first publication that I had the opportunity to be a part of, I was one of 9 authors. It's Making Prevention a Reality, where really it's a resource, a compendium of key data that's important, that focuses on how do you identify, assess, and manage the concern for targeted violence. That was published in 2017. From there, we've gone on to really try to understand the difference between individuals that go on to commit an act of targeted violence versus somebody who is on the pathway to violence who does not commit an act of targeted violence. And all of that is done in the spirit to inform prevention so that we can help move people off of the pathway to violence before an attack happens.
And do you you've mentioned some trainings. Do you speak to training groups about this and other people involved in this type of work?
Yes, over the last 11 years, I've been very active in providing training to our local, state, and federal law enforcement partners, both in the United States and internationally, as well as other members of our community to include mental health practitioners, school administrators, college administrators, again, trying to get that training and on the pre-attack behavior indicators of what to look for to be able to inform those prevention efforts.
And have you testified in court about this subject matter before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, approximately how many times have you done?
So I have testified in federal court one time on...
At 10:34, we're going to take a little break here on Live Impact News, get you back out to the sentencing trial in Raleigh in just 2 minutes. Here on Live Impact News on WCNC+. At 10:36, bringing you a live update right now of a fatal crash investigation in North Charlotte along 485. We have the word that all lanes reopened at exit 18 at Oakdale Road. The inner loop again of 485 at mile marker 18, now back open from an earlier fatal crash. Here at 10:36 on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, we were following the sentencing hearing for Austin Thompson, who pleaded guilty to 5 counts of murder back in he pleaded guilty last month, but they were for the mass shootings of 5 people back in 2022. We'll get you back to that now here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.
Emotional situation where you have someone who reacts in that moment and haven't previously planned to do anything in that moment.
And this has been your kind of focus area of research and study and work for how long?
For the last 11 years that I've been at the FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit.
And when we talk about acts of targeted violence, based on your research, is it common for this to be a targeted act of violence to be a first kind of offense, or is this something that someone has done multiple acts of violence and ends up at a targeted act?
So in these cases, the challenge is that when you're looking for individuals that are progressing on the pathway to violence to commit this type of an act, there's a lot of considering, planning, and preparing that goes into it. But it can definitely be the first time that they do any type of violence can be the actual targeted violent attack. And that can be the challenge in the prevention space, is that if we go off of if someone was violent in the past to really inform us of their violence in the future, we find that that's not very accurate or very helpful in this space. That really we have to go at what are the behaviors that we're seeing and observing, and what is that fact pattern when you put it into the different factors of the research, what's enhancing to targeted violence.
Now, you've mentioned the pathway to violence. Can you just briefly kind of give us an overarching view of what that is?
Yeah. First comes into concept in 1998 with Dr. Fine and Brian Boskuhl from the United States Secret Service, and they had culminated this 5-year study related to the assassins and the attempted assassins that I talked about that started in 1992. Ultimately, out of that research, they see that these individuals who were committing these assassins or attempted assassinations followed a very specific trajectory. They considered, planned, and prepared. In 1999, we see that that same type of concept related to targeted violence, that term gets coined. It gets applied to school violence and school shootings, where they looked at 37 cases of school violence, and they found that those same concepts, that trajectory where people consider, planned, and prepared, was also applicable to school violence. Then we have in 2003 Calhoun and Weston, who then augment those thoughts and considerations that were found from that operational research that was conducted in the 90s, and they develop a very specific graph that shows those steps and really where you get the formalized steps of the pathway. And really in that concept, what we see is that the pathway starts with a grievance. It can be a personal slight, it can be a humiliation, it can be something that's unbearable, it can be real or perceived, something that they struggle to move past. It also is incredibly individualized for that person, and so they are in that space where they have a problem, they're trying to figure out how to solve it, and then it progresses to the next step. And I'm happy to go on if you want me to.
Well, I want to stop you there. You mentioned a kind of very specific graph. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 26 and ask you, is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
I'm going to move to admit States Exhibit 26 and publish on the screen.
This one up.
no further objections beyond my initial, Your Honor.
All right, objections noted. Second rule, it's allowed. Are you ready to project?
Yes, Your Honor. So Dr. Gibson, what we've got on the screen, this is this what you've referred to as the kind of the chart of the pathway to violence?
Yes, it is.
And can you talk to us, you just mentioned grievance, and that is typically how things, maybe the first step, is that fair?
Correct.
Okay. And you mentioned several different types of grievances or things that could be real or perceived grievances. Right? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes, and so when you have an individual that is beginning to progress in the pathway to violence, there is this the grievance, like I said, a personal slight or an injustice that has occurred for them, and for them they're trying to work through that to really understand what it means and what they can do with it, and it really is based on perception, and so it really can be real or perceived. So if I was in the same situation with an individual, for example, I may find the situation that was upsetting or the problem that they're struggling with not to really be something of that significance. But for that person, it may be very significant. And that's really what matters in this case, is the person's thoughts and feelings related to those issues connected to the grievance.
And so this is would this be something that's very personal to them?
Yes, it's a very personal journey for them.
And in your research, because of the fact that this is very personal, is this something that is can be hard to observe?
Yeah, so in our research, what we've found is that a lot of times we are able to see the grievance, where we're able to see somebody, that injustice or that slight that has happened to them that they're holding on to. But in our research, we found in 21% of the time that we weren't able to determine the grievance. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's not there, but one explanation is that it's highly personal, and it would require that person to inform the specifics of the grievance.
And you mentioned, so what types of things fall into kind of a bucket of grievances that your research has shown?
So there can be several different factors here. You can have, like I said, you can have a slight that has happened to them, a humiliation that has occurred, some type of embarrassing situation that they can't move past, that they're holding on to. You also can have more global grievances. You can be hopeless and helpless and frustrated, just in general, more globally. And then you can also have more of personally driven reasons as to why you are in that space, right? That the key things specific to that individual, their life, that really keeps them anchored in being potentially a grievance collector or being upset with the injustices that they've have occurred in their life.
And can you explain?
And we're going to take one more break here on Live Impact News at 10:45. You're watching WCNC Plus. At 10:47, back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Back to Raleigh, where the sentencing hearing for Austin Thompson, who pleaded guilty last month on 5 counts of murder in a mass shooting that happened in 2022. That sentencing hearing still taking place this week on Live Impact News.
That can be suicidality, it can be homicidality, it can be consumption of violent content online, it can be consuming violent imagery, movies, and different things in that nature, but really kind of being marinating in violence on that step of the pathway.
And with regard with the consumption of violence, we have, unfortunately, we have a lot of, celebrity type folks who have committed murders. Or I guess I'll put that in quotes, celebrity, famous people who have committed murders. How does that play into this violent ideation aspect of the pathway?
So when you have somebody that is sitting in this space of violent ideation, and they come to that conclusion that it's only through violence that they can resolve their grievance, then you see them start to progress on the pathway, and the next step is research and planning. And in that research and planning is where they will likely encounter key attackers that have perpetuated different violent acts. We find that there becomes a fascination with prior attackers, that there is almost sometimes a fixation on them, and they really start to research specific details about those attackers. And then sometimes what you'll find where they focus that attention is on an attacker that they feel closely represents them or their struggles, or that they start to really see themselves in that attacker.
I want to go, I'm sorry, I've got a little bit ahead, but I'm back into violent ideation. Some of the things that you mentioned, kind of this consumption of violence, besides just violent images and violent videos, can that include different types of violence?
Yes, it can.
Emotional violence, sexual violence.
Yes, what you find is that when they're in this space, they're really starting to find comfort with violence, and it can permeate into other type of violent encounters or different violent material that they're reviewing. And again, it's that theme of marinating in violence that you see as more of a constant.
Could that include video games, pornography, things like that?
It could, yes.
And overall, with this marination in violence, what effect does that have on the offender?
So when you have somebody that's consuming violence in that way, what really happens is a desensitization to that violence, where they start to really, again, it becomes more about their plans and preparation of how they're going to use it versus really kind of contemplating the impacts of that violence. And really that desensitization and sometimes even comfort in seeing it, because it's helping them resolve their struggles that they're having.
And then you mentioned previously, then the next step along this pathway is the research and planning stage. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so at this stage, they've, like I said, they have the grievance likely, they have the violent ideation, they know that they're going to use violence to resolve that grievance, and so the research and planning stage is really to figure out how are they going to do that. And so the research and planning is a very individualized process, and it can take up to 2 years. We've seen in our research of where you have different searches that could happen, you have different plans that you're thinking of, different locations that you're seeking out that potentially you would want to have as your location that you would attack. And so there's a process as they go through that, what kind of weaponry, what type of tools would they need to do the attack when they would conduct it, all of that.
And I think you mentioned this is where someone can start to fixate on infamous attacks or attackers.
Yes. as they start to review more of those attack details. There may be key factors where they want to adapt something that was used or change something that was used so that they can be more successful in their attack.
And you mentioned that the research and planning, this stage in your research has shown it can take up to 2 years. What about the prior stages that we've talked about, the grievance and the ideation, violent ideation? Do those have kind of a time frame, or is that fluid as well?
That's fluid, and again, the grievance and ideation stage, along with research and planning, it's harder because it's more individualized, and so you can be involved in that, and unless you're telling people about it, no one really knows how long you've had that grievance or how long you have had consumption of violence or fixated on the violent ideation. And so what we see from grievance to research and planning, that is can take longer that you see as they methodically kind of go through, and specifically research and planning we know can go anywhere from a month to 2 years because of how detailed oriented they are in that planning process.
And some of that planning, is some of that kind of physical planning, can it be, or is it, we're talking more mental planning as well?
It could be both, right? So you can actually have individuals that will, go surveil different, targets, or be involved in trying to understand time of day or the best situation for them to go forward and commit that attack. But then you can also just have the need to mentally prepare for the plans that you have, and you can have somebody really thinking about that. And so again, it's very individualized, and so unless you're looking at someone's digital devices, you don't really know if this stuff is happening.
After the research and planning stage, what would be the next step along this path?
The next step after research and planning is preparation, and really this is where you actually go get the tools to do the attack. So if you think about it in this way, research and planning, you've developed your list of everything you need, you know what you're going to do, metaphorically speaking, right? And then you go forward in preparation to obtain those tools to do the attack. And we find that when individuals enter preparation, this is the duration that they're in this step is really quite diminished compared to the research and planning. So we will find that individuals, once they enter preparation, they can ultimately do the attack within 24 hours to 7 days when they obtain the weaponry to do the attack.
And you mentioned the obtaining of weaponry or items necessary for the attack. Can someone's resources or access to resources play a role in this pathway?
Yes, it can make someone's time on the pathway go faster. So if I already have access to weaponry, or if I already have a knowledge base of that, I don't need to spend much time in preparation. And so really you see someone progress faster if they have knowledge of weaponry, or have access to that, or have knowledge or access to the target that they choose.
Now, after preparation, where do we come next?
So after preparation, we see the next stage is breach. Breach is really in close proximity to the attack. A lot of times you don't see breach until after the attack. What breach is a dry run or security probe to make sure that they're going to be successful with the attack, and then you have the attack.
And could this breach, could that involve the selection of certain tools amongst the tools or items that someone has gathered in their preparation?
Yeah, so really from where breach stands is in that moment, it's
Want to bring you some breaking news right now. This is a water main break in Union County. According to the DOT, about half an hour ago, all 5 lanes of Highway 74 near Main Street in Wingate have been shut down. They will remain closed through at least 6 o'clock this evening due to a water main break beneath the roadway, causing extensive damage. So you're encouraged to use the bypass for Highway 74, and then local residents just expect a lot of local detours for your area there. So we're going to keep tabs on that here on Live Impact News. But right now, major water main break at Highway 74 and Main Street. Also breaking news at this moment, we're hearing that Hall of Famer quarterback Sonny Jurgensen has died at age 91 from Wilmington, and a student at Duke. More coming up later on Live Impact News. In the meantime, Live Impact News is going to wrap up at 11. Charlotte Today is up next. Have a great day.